So let's just focus on the relocalization point. I may have the terminology wrong, but I think
No, that's great.
I think I know what it means. But explain it to me as if I've never heard anything broadly like this before, and not just what it means, but what it means for local or regional communities. What should people be doing?
Yeah. So our world is a hyper-globalized world. It's madly globalized. And this has been plainly visible in the coronavirus pandemic. People talk about super spreaders and blame individuals for super spreading the virus. But the real super spreaders are planes, right? There would be no global pandemic, or at least it would have gone far slower and have been far more easy to control and get a handle on if it hadn't been for planes. Planes is what took the virus all over the world at speed and made this virus far harder to deal with than the Spanish flu of 100 years ago, which of course traveled mainly at the speed of ship rather than the speed of plane. So the problem is clear. Relocalization is a crucial element in the solution. It is looked at in some detail in This Civilization is Finished. It is looked at in more detail in the work of my colleague, Helena Norberg-Hodge, whose work I very much recommend for anyone who wants to get into this. And basically what relocalization means is that we put globalization into reverse, or to be more accurate, we put all the many harmful aspects of globalization into reverse. And we seek to hold on to those aspects of it which are actually beneficial. So it's beneficial, for example, to be able to have the kind of communication, excuse me, that you and I are having right now, Mark, speaking across the world on Zoom. This is a good thing, or at least if it's done right, it's a good thing. It's beneficial to have international agreements on climate, international agreements on reining in the multinational corporations, right? It would be pointless to relocalize politically, but not relocalize economically. In fact, economic relocalization is the kind of relocalization we need the most of all. So we've got to put corporations on a leash if we're going to achieve this. And Helena and I described this, for example, in the pamphlet we wrote a few years ago called Post-Growth Localization. And if you do this kind of relocalization, if you try to make communities more robust and relatively self-sufficient again, you achieve multiple win-wins. You're able, as I say, in principle, why not, to retain the good aspects of what we have in terms of worldwide communication and coordination, but you're far more robust and secure because you don't depend upon these insecure long supply lines. You're not opening your economy so much to the kinds of manipulations from the markets and so forth, which have really dominated the last generation. You're able to get a clearer handle on and control more what's going on in your own area. The slogan "Take Back Control" was made famous in the referendum in my country, in the United Kingdom, recently. But of course, you're not really taking back control if you give away that control immediately to international markets or powerful corporations. What it would be to really take back control would be to relocalize our economy and our polities, to have far more of our food coming from near where we live, which would of course require us to depend a lot more on seasonal food production, which is exactly what we should be doing. And it would be much less common for the kind of damage to be wreaked by corporations, which is currently wreaked when they are out of control, when they are off the leash, when they are doing damage in places which are far from the places where they are controlled, if they are controlled at all. So really the ultimate idea of relocalization is a kind of common sense. If we work together where we live to produce most of what we need and to control what we want and don't want to happen where we are, then things are, by and large, going to be better than if we are controlled at the whim of people far away in countries of which we know little. With our hyper-globalized world, we also get a huge amount of unnecessary damage to the environment by the carbon emissions, etc., which come from all that long distance travel. not to mention the pandemic example that I mentioned before. So really, it's a kind of no-brainer. It's a common sense which will become more and more common. The future is going to be more local. The only question is, once again, is that relocalized future going to come by way of collapse, or is it going to come by way of an intelligent choice, or some combination of the two?